For years, the Sachsenring was Marc Marquez's personal playground, a circuit where he was untouchable, unstoppable, and unbreakable. But in 2023, it turned into a nightmare, a pivotal weekend that nearly ended not just his career, but his legacy. That memory still casts a long shadow over the sport. 5 crashes in a single weekend day. Withdrawal from the race, a rider lost, trapped within the wreckage of his broken body and a fractured relationship with Honda. Yet, in 2025, he returned to that very track not only as the championship leader, but as the most dominant force MotoGP had seen since well himself in 2019. Even the greatest riders, however, live by certain rules about when to push, when to protect, when to manage, and above all, when not to override. That rule was broken during the 2025 German GP sprint. And here's why before we dissect Marquez's reckless yet brilliant charge to his 10th sprint victory of the season. We must revisit the ghosts he faced that weekend in 2023. Sachsenring was no longer his sanctuary. It had become a trap, still recovering from multiple surgeries. Marquez was forcing an uncompetitive Honda to its limits that weekend. He crashed 5 times, including a violent high-side in warm-up that forced him to withdraw. The image of Marc limping away from the garage recalled TNT Sports analyst Neil Hodgson sparked concern, not just for his results, but for his future. Remember that crash? Hodgson continued. I thought, he's done. It was a bold claim, but he wasn't alone. Many believed that was the turning point. He was risking everything for a bike that used stuff that couldn't deliver, Hodgson said. That's when he said, I'm not doing this anymore. From that moment, the wheels of change began to turn. Marquez refused to be a prisoner of his contract. He walked away from millions at Honda, joined Gresini in 2024, and suddenly, the crashes stopped his smile, returned his aggression, became a weapon again by 2025. Now aboard the dominant Ducati GP25, he returned to Sachsenring as the rider everyone feared, but this time he promised not to override his 2025 philosophy has been simple. Don't beat yourself. He arrived in Germany with a 68-point lead over his brother Alex and had won 9 of 10 sprints, but he also knew that overconfidence at favorite circuits could spell disaster. He had already crashed out at Coda and Jerez, 2 tracks where he traditionally thrives, so Germany required caution. He's aware, said Michael Laverty, at tracks where he's strong. He reminds himself not to push too hard. Even Marquez admitted, I'm working on self-control. I know I'm fast here. The key is to manage, not force. But on Saturday, that self-control dissolved, and with it, his cautious strategy. It was a wet and slippery Sachsenring, the kind of day where caution usually trumps courage. Marquez had taken pole, but the sprint unraveled immediately. A poor launch sent him wide at turn 1, dropping him to 5th the first 2 laps. I was struggling, he later admitted. Tire temperatures were low. I thought, okay, today's a day to finish 5th or 6th. That wide entry into turn 1 wasn't just a mistake. It was intentional. The bike was locking up. I chose to go wide and lose places rather than risk crashing. Then something changed. The tires warmed. The balance returned. The rhythm came back. And Marquez's instincts overwhelmed his plan. He started slicing through the field. Quartararo, Di Gian Antonio, each pass a blend of precision and aggression. One terrifying moment came while passing Fabio into turn 2. I thought it was time to fly, but I stayed on the bike soon. Only Marco Bezzecchi remained. The Aprilia rider had led every lap and looked poised for his first sprint win. He was fast, composed, and extracting maximum grip in Sector 3. But Marquez was closing in. I told myself second was enough, he said. Then I clocked a 1:29.4 and started to believe it was never meant to be that kind of race with a big lead in the standings and dangerous conditions. The logical move was to settle, but logic never won 8 world titles honestly, he admitted. I took too much risk. Second place was enough. So why push? The reason was surprisingly sentimental. It was the birthday of the big boss. Marquez, smiled. This win was for him. Yes. He risked it all for just 3 more points, but when you've clawed your way back from injury, walked away from a fortune, and earned your place again, sometimes you ride with your heart, not your head. I followed my instinct, he said. I felt I could catch Marco, so I did. I was having fun. That's who I am. Then came a 1:28.9, the fastest lap of the race. And then, the move, with one daring attack. He took the lead and sealed his 10th sprint win of the season. Gave me the most joy of any sprint this year. Marquez reflected the adrenaline. The risk, you can crash, but when you don't, you enjoy it, and he did. But was it worth it? If I had crashed, I'd be telling a different story, he admitted, but I didn't. So I smile still, he added. I need to control these instincts for Marco Bezzecchi. The result was bittersweet. He led nearly every lap, made the most of Aprilia's grip, and saw victory slip away 1 lap earlier. I was much happier, he joked. But Marc was gaining. I saw it coming. He admitted that Sector 3 was where Marquez had the edge. He had so much traction, I tried to resist, but even my best lap wasn't enough still. It was a strong result, another podium after wins at Silverstone and Assen. He's now 6th in the championship, just 9 points behind. Franco Morbidelli, who suffered a heavy crash and was taken to the Hospital Bezzecchi, left Sachsenring frustrated, but more confident. Fighting Marc was fun, he said. Even if I lost, I can't complain. It's now official. Marquez is the first rider in MotoGP history to win 10 sprint races in a single season. Even more remarkable, he's finished either first or second in all 11 sprints so far. That's not just consistency, that's dominance. Last year, Saturdays were my weak spot. Marquez said this year, they're my strength. It's poor. I worked hard over the winter, and the GP25 makes a difference. It certainly does. Ducati's GP25 is stable on the brakes, agile in transitions, and kind to tires, perfect for sprint racing. But even the best bike can't erase fear. Only the rider can, and in Germany, Marquez proved he's not just piloting the best machine, he's riding with belief. Sachsenring 2025 won't be remembered for lap times or for Bezzecchi's near miss. It will be remembered as the race where Marquez broke his own rule and got away with it. For now, because this sport doesn't forget, it doesn't forgive recklessness forever. Marquez knows a time, trying to manage, he said. But sometimes I have to follow my instinct. This time, it worked. Next time, who knows? That's the gamble of greatness. That's the weight of the number 93.